Hello everybody, this is your favorite time-traveling Pine Martin, Murphy's Law. As a Time Lord, I'm used to traveling all over the universe, different galaxies, even other universes. But my human side has actually done spirit traveling as well, having been serving in the Navy for 20 years. I've gone through many different countries and had met lots of different people and different experiences, and I thought I'd share a few of them with you today. One of my experiences, which is common among other sailors who've been on a ship, is called the line crossing ceremony. Whenever a ship crosses the equator, the ceremony goes that King Neptune announces his presence and welcomes the ship on board, but then realizes that there are, nowadays they would be called newbies, but in naval terms they are called wogs, short for polywogs, aboard, and as such, the ship cannot be allowed to enter its kingdom until these have proven their worth as sailors. The process goes that the polywogs all dress in like plain t-shirts, usually with slogans painted on it proclaiming their polywogginess or polywoggity or polywoggishness or something. Anyway, they proclaim that they are newbies and initiates. The veterans, known as shellbacks, dress usually as pirates or marine animals or whatnot. And early in the morning, like 0300 or 0400, the shellbacks wake up the polywogs, kind of like as if they were in boot camp. And for several hours, excuse me, the wogs are put through a bunch of exercises. They're made to do calisthenics, sing silly songs. They're made to swim through, like, lie on the deck and swim through a bunch of food and other stuff. They're sprayed with water, with dye, with a lot of bad stuff. Nothing poisonous or toxic. Um, they are kind of sort of yelled at. Again, it's almost like being in boot camp again. All of this is done in the days in the spirit of fun, though nowadays it's probably tempered down a bit from what it has been years ago, due to hazing being frowned upon. At any rate, I've actually been through the process twice, once as a wog and then once as a shellback. And uh, despite how I was back then when I went through the process, I was kind of shy, really reserved. You'd almost think that I would have hated it, that it would have made me nervous, whatnot, and really nothing could be farther from the truth. I've actually enjoyed it. It was, despite all that I had to go through, I found it something that made the ship life a lot better. Anyway, after you go through all of this stuff, you get sprayed, you're finally brought before King Neptune, which is usually one of the officers or one of the senior non-commissioned officers dressed up as him, and he proclaims that you are now a shellback, and you get a certificate. Uh, you can also become a golden shellback if you happen to cross the international date line, as well as the equator. And in fact, I am a golden shellback, having gone through that. I have my certificate somewhere, and I'll show it to you one of these days. Another experience, which I would certainly classify as unique, although there was probably one other person I know that has experienced this, was back in 2005. There was an earthquake in Pakistan, and our ship was one of those that was scheduled to bring in supplies to help with the earthquake relief. Now, most of the actual bringing along the supplies was done by engineers and boatswain's mates. But the rest of us still had jobs to do. We still had a duty at that day, and someone had to guard the ship. And I was one that was on duty and took guard duty. Now, along with us, the Pakistanis also had soldiers there guarding it since it was their port. Now, at the time that we came, it was a time that was called Ramadan. For those of you not familiar with it, Ramadan is, to the best of my understanding, similar to Lent for Catholics. It is a time for abstaining, a time for fasting, and holding off from certain activities. For the Muslims, it is usually from sun up until sundown. As we got there somewhere around noontime to the end of the day, we'd gotten there right as Ramadan was nearly ending for the day. And as such, with me and this other guy, we were there with other Pakistani soldiers, and the Pakistani soldiers actually offered us some of their Ramadan meal. Now, from what I remember, this was kind of like the Pakistani version equivalent of like ravioli. It was some sort of meat put in sort of a pastry shell. From what I can remember, it was a bit spicy, but it was not intolerable, and it was actually quite good. And they even offered us some of their tea, which was kind of them. And I never thought that me, being non-Muslim, would be able to partake of this, since I figured it would be just something for Muslims. But, I mean, that was certainly a unique experience. Some of the places that I've been to, there was Croatia. We went to Split, Croatia, which is like the capital of Croatia, and it is a very large, if not the largest, port town there. It was definitely an odd mixture because there was a lot of having been part of the Roman Empire, they had a lot of Roman artifacts and Roman buildings there, since it was ruled by the Emperor Diocletian. There was even the ruins of a temple, which have been sort of converted or used as an outdoor dining place. It even had a miniature Sphinx there, since we were told that the Emperor Diocletian was into things Egyptian. Now, while on shore, each of us had sort of we had a buddy system going on in order to ensure that nobody got in any trouble. So me and my Navy buddy, and then two of our other friends, while we were there, we went over and messed around at an internet cafe. I know that's normally sort of frowned upon because you're supposed to go out and, actually look at the culture and the city. But while we were there, we actually made the acquaintance of one of the internet cafe's owner, and he actually later on that night, he gave us his own private tour of the city. So, I mean, that was kind of nice. It was definitely a mixture of the new and the old there. Downtown being a bunch of Roman ruins, and yet they had nightclubs and stuff that was somewhat modern. It was kind of, I guess, odd seeing kids playing around in their backyard, which had a bunch of uh, Roman columns and stuff from over 1,000 years old. But on one hand, you think, do these kids even realize the significance of this? That in most places like this, it would be cordoned off. It would be part of a museum. You'd have archaeologists crawling all over it, studying it, whatnot. But on the other hand, these kids have, being in Croatia and in this region, they've probably been used to a lot of wars and bombs going off, and uh, they just care about is having fun, during peacetime. So it was really an interesting feeling. Another place that I've been to is Greece. Although in this case it is just one little island in Greece. In this case, the Isle of Rhodes. The Isle of Rhodes is significant in that it used to hold one of the seven ancient wonders of the world. In this case, the Colossus of Rhodes, which was a huge bronze statue, several hundred feet high, and it was the largest of its kind. Now, most pictures actually show the Colossus with his legs apart straddling a huge bay, with one leg in each side of the bay. From what I've been told, this would have been highly difficult, if not downright impossible, to build. That despite all of the depictions, that in fact the Colossus was actually on a pedestal, and it was with its feet together, and it's just on one side of the bay instead of straddling it. Now, the Colossus of Rhodes is significant because it was used as a model for Our Lady of Liberty. Now, the Colossus is no longer standing, having been destroyed by an earthquake a long time ago, and then the Arabs came along, and when they took over the island, they carted away a lot of shipped away a lot of the pieces. I think this bronze stand is still there, but some of the other places I've been to, Australia was pretty nice. I've visited Sydney, Cairns, and Darwin. The people were pretty friendly, and in fact, while I was on a bus, this one older gentleman had actually thanked me for saving his country. I believe he was thanking me on behalf of the American military, if not specifically the American Navy. From what I understand, the story was that during World War II, Australia, thinking that they were kind of an island nation, did not believe that they were going to be affected by World War II. I mean, they were neither for the Axis nor for the Allies. So that there was no preparation made whatsoever. Well, unfortunately, World War II did manage to sort of reach them, and they were basically caught unprepared. But the American Navy, or at least the American military, stepped in and helped them out and saved them. So that was pretty nice. I actually wish I had spent more time in Australia and got to see maybe the outback. I've always wanted to see that, maybe see some of the Aborigines, but I had a good time there. Let's see, I've been to Italy, Ireland. I've been to Hong Kong. Been to Singapore. Been to Alaska. I've been there several times. In fact, I was there during the Exxon Valdez oil spill cleanup, so that was a pretty sobering view. I know some of the pictures, if you look at pictures of the Alaskan oil spill cleanup, you can see pictures of boats on the shore. These boats are like metal boats with the ramps that kind of fold down, and those were actually the ships that were from my unit, and I was actually there for a little bit. Let's see, I've been to Bahrain, been to United Arab Emirates, like Addis Ababa and Abu Dhabi. Um, that was kind of interesting in that when we first went there, it was uh, during Saddam Hussein's attack on Kuwait, and our shift was kind of like from midnight until noon, and it was odd going there at midnight because that's when everybody there was active. Even kids were out playing in the middle of the street at midnight. But considering we're in we're in the United Arab Emirates, it's extremely hot. It can get to on a normal day, it can probably get to several hundred and some odd degrees out there. So it's not exactly the best time to go out playing. But it was definitely an interesting experience. Bahrain, I've been through like England, Japan, the Philippines, Germany, Spain, and a few other places. Um, Definitely, ship life is something that's needing to get used to. You have the food there wasn't all that good. There were a lot of times I could not even identify what I was eating, and many times I just skipped a meal and uh, went to the snack machines to eat because I couldn't eat what they were serving. I mean, like Saturdays, a lot of times they had pizza and hot wings, and ironically enough, ever since after leaving Italy, I kind of lost my taste for pizza. And I'm not into spicy stuff, so I just go to either snack bar or to the little store they had and ate something. But and especially the lack of privacy on board. You're sleeping, in a bunk room with 30 other guys, um, and you're sleeping in these little coffin racks, which are called because they basically give you as much room as a coffin. I mean, you have like this much room above your head when you lie down, so uh, I actually took the top bunk so that I could at least be exposed. Of course, this sort of didn't help out my acrophobia any, but it was taking the lesser of two evils. A lot of times there was no water, which was, again, ironic since we were in the middle of the ocean, but our saltwater or desalinization plant or machine had gone down, so there's no water to drink, no water to wash your clothes with. A lot of times there was no electricity. We were out of communication from everybody. It was kind of hard, but and especially going through war zones and whatnot, going through a lot of battle drills, it was kind of hard, but I'd say it was definitely worth it. You can't really be a sailor and not having gone on a ship of one sort. The only thing I'm grateful for, one of the few things I'm grateful for, is that I wasn't stationed aboard an aircraft carrier. Those things are just like huge floating cities, and with my sense of direction being all screwed up, I would have probably gotten lost trying to get to the bunk or to my workspace, and they would have had to uh, get the search and rescue team, to try to find me. So it would have been just too much for me. Well, that's all the stories I have for now. I'm going to end it here, and maybe on my next blog tell you a few more of my stories that I had. Until then, I will hope to see you all again. I hope you have a good day. This is your Gallifreyan Time Martin, Murphy's Law, signing off. Goodbye, everybody.